Uh, well, welcome everyone to another session of our Seregen campaign. I am, of course, the Wombat of DM, and we are here for session 83 of our ongoing campaign, known as the Wall campaign, the Seregen campaign, Rule of Thirds. You name it, we got it. So who's playing in this long-lasting game? Well, the folks that are preceding me. Is it preceding?
Preceding would be before.
Yeah,
We
so
are antecedents here.
Wait, receding? You're talking about my
those
hair
who are
again?
anteceding me, and I don't mean bugs. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm not an aunt. I'd be an uncle. Maybe. I'm the Banewall. I play Belzian Gilkis, who is a half-elf monk slash maybe uncle. Hiya!
I am Abaddus, and I play Roger Mays, Wood Elf Assassin. But the more important question, perhaps, is Wood Elf Uncle? Yes, he would.
Jade, I play Ulrich, human paladin, vampire paladin.
We are missing Yarvik tonight, but he is our halfling ranger.
I'm Tom. I can play Zippo, the Kobold Sorcerer. Sorcerer Kobold possibly has family. I don't know.
And I will be returning this session as Jordan, the human bard. At some point, at least. Yeah, human, quote unquote, as Bramble said. Yes. So, welcome in, everyone. Hope you had a great couple weeks. We are back and ready to go for our next session. So, party, what happened last time? What's going on in this good old world we got going on of Renavar? I will pick up the baton, I suppose. So we are in Licht, and we have been for some time, preparing for the oncoming army. The human forces have been mustered by Marius, the general of the human lands, and the party has requested they meet up so that they can march east together to aid fellow allies out west or out east in a conflict against demons. Of course, they want to make haste there, but it's 30 days march by foot, so that is definitely not great. So ultimately, the party is got some things to figure out, some logistics to figure out today with Marius and crew. I believe it is the day that they are supposed to arrive that evening. So that being said, folks, I think it would be safe to say that if there's anything left that you want to do prior to the army arriving, now's the time to do it, because afterward it's going to be swept up into more political intrigue and whatnot, right? So if there's anything you don't want to have kind of gone unsaid here in Licht, now might be the time. But yeah, I'll put it into your hands, folks. I know last time we also had a few happenings happen in Licht. We had a potential Flame of Jane's spy that was imprisoned by the Lord of the Manor, who was handed over to Ulrich because Ulrich was trying to feed and was trying to get a prisoner from the Lord, and it turned out to maybe be a Flame of Jane, who also introduced himself as Null. The party kind of figured that out and then eventually killed the man who said his name was Null. Ulrich fed on him, took him a distance away from the city, and burned the body. Meanwhile, Roger, you met with a actual Flame of Jane, who said that person was, not to his knowledge, a flame, nor was there a place for him to be hiding in the way that the Lord described. So something doesn't add up there. Sure, there's nothing going on that's amiss, right? The Yarvik and Belzian both worked with members of the city to kind of train up a militia so that the city could better defend themselves. And Roger has spent the last 7 days building a road for the army to travel down so that they wouldn't have to go through town and potentially cause permanent damage to the infrastructure. So that's where we have left it, I believe. Let me know if I've missed anything that you can think of.
That lines up with my memory. I do want to say, just in case we don't get around to it before I end up leaving the town, before we leave, Roger will deliver his report whenever there is time to do so.
I'll probably do a last call for Licht again when we are actually leaving, if that be today or another session. But ultimately, good to know. Thank you.
I believe we were also able to procure a source of holy water or some kind of blessed liquid.
Yeah, Ulrich, I think you were kind of doing some rounds on that in Belgian, you as well. So yes, holy water is at your disposal in terms of like you were trying to dip weapons in the holy water, correct? Or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think we need it in particular, and most adventurers probably not, but general army folks would probably benefit from it.
Would you say, Ulrich, that holy water is something that you'd be familiar with, or more so the church?
I don't know that I would really be familiar with it, and I also don't really recall. I don't know if Ulrich was part of that.
Okay, I might be misremembering. That's fair.
But
yeah, I think Belgium just went to a church and was like, "Holy water, please."
Got it.
yeah, that seems more up Belzian's alley, especially with Ulrich.
Okay.
You know,
Belzian, how much
Not
experience
feeling very
would
holy.
your character have with holy water then?
Ooh, that's hard to say since Belzian is not magical. I don't know how magical monks in a monastery in general would be, whether it be arcane magic or divine magic, but they are devout followers of the 12.
Let's do a religion check.
Do, 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 do. 23.
23. Okay. So holy water is definitely something that's purported to be effective against evil beings from other realms. It can deal radiant damage to them. However, it doesn't seem it could be used to bless a blade, but it doesn't seem to have a lasting effect on a blade.
It's like a temporary buff.
Yeah, it might be like until the water runs off of it type of thing.
Keep your swords wet, my friends.
Yeah, and I don't mean blood. So yeah, you imagine that holy water might be better utilized as a weapon itself, as opposed to it being used to douse blades, but it might be able to be used as a component to bless blades, potentially. Maybe even members of the church might be able to join up with the army, or there might be, members of the church already there in the army, right? So
I guess we'll have to investigate that.
anybody else have anything that they'd like to do before the army arrives? Yeah, we've had 7 days, right? So I think most of our ends have been tied, right? So I will kind of progress through the day. Roger, you complete the road network that you've created. You also kind of spend most of the time today after completing the road, which doesn't take you very long. You just had a little bit of a stretch left. You get to the banks of the river, and there is indeed the plan that Ulrich passed on from Lord Dara, with the boats kind of being fashioned into a semi-permanent bridge for the time being. There are great posts along both edges of the river, kind of driven into the ground and reinforced, and along the entire length of the road. And then the ships are being strapped to them along the entire length of the river. And that being said, the ships, of course, take up more space than the road itself, so there would be many people that'd be able to get across. There are gangplanks being set up, and whatnot. The only problem is, like, there are gangplanks going down to the road itself, but it seems like it might be more effective if the road was raised to kind of be level with the ships instead.
Sorry, I missed that last bit. Can you say that again?
Sure. So they are using gangplanks to kind of assist in navigating across each ship. These ships are kind of flat-topped fishing vessels, mainly rowed. There is sail networks, but they're fairly top flat. And this is new detail, so I didn't say this before, but what I did say before is it looks like because of the way the ships are, that the road probably would be better served to access these ships if it was raised to be level with the ships themselves, so that the gangplanks would not have to be ramped.
Do I have time to fix that?
You have most of the day, yes.
I'll coordinate with the people who are kind of setting this up, and make it as level and even as it can.
Okay. Would you like me to roll a couple rolls, or would you like to roll them yourself since you were invested in this entire project?
Really depends on what kind of rolls, but sure, I can roll one.
There would be 10 d20s and 3 d100s.
10 d20.
Okay.
There you go. Now, we have asked me to roll a bunch of dice, so they're all really low.
Yeah, you got a few 4s. You got 1, 2, and 1, 1, and no 20s.
No 20s is expected.
Yeah, fair. Okay, good to know. There did seem to be some trouble, especially later on in the process, when it came to, why are the dice moving around?
Did you know you can just grab them and move them around?
I did not. That's interesting. Are you ordering them in
Yes.
amounts? I like it. Okay. I was just like, wait, what's happening? It seems like later on in the process and toward the middle, it was where the most trouble was had. Some of the ships being tied down came loose. Some of the ropes snapped, and the ship started to go downriver. Most of the ships were already tied, so it didn't ruin the bridge, but like there had to be some great efforts. In fact, a whole section of the bridge is narrowed down because one of the ships actually capsized and took water. So what they've done is they've kind of lashed together a bunch more gangplanks that they had to kind of bridge the gap between where the ships are. So there are 20 ships in total, and there are five lengths of ships kind of stacked on each other to make the road. Of course, minus the one.
If one of those ships capsized from us moving the earth on the side of the river, maybe it's good we tested it before we put an army across it.
Yeah,
holy shit.
Other than that, things seem to go smooth. You do find that there is some rock that you're working with. Now, this is earth, right? So does that mean rock is affected as well?
No. The spell's pretty explicit that I can only move loose earth.
Loose earth. Okay, perfect. So there is some rocky parts around the river, which makes sense. Otherwise, the river probably wouldn't be in the bed that it's in. It would have maybe fluctuated more, or it might be doing that in the future. But in the current state, you kind of have to move some of that loose dirt from other areas to kind of pack it up. Because the closer you are to the river, the less efficient it is to use, right? So, yep, good. You work until you're satisfied as best as you can do with the time that you have remaining, and trust that the folks building the bridge will have done their job as well. Any inspections you'd like to do with the bridge?
I mean, I can take a look and see if it seems like it would hold up an army marching across a few at a time, but this isn't really Roger's area of expertise, so he would be inclined to leave it to the experts.
Okay. Yeah, you take a walk across the bridge just to, first of all, you've put all this work in, so, you're going to be the first to cross it. But secondly, just to kind of get a lay of the land. It's definitely going to be slow going, but it seems like it might be just effective enough. It'll probably take a whole day for the whole army to get across this.
Well, that's better than what we were assuming before, which is that they would collapse one of the bridges in the town.
Right.
Well, if Roger is satisfied that that it could work, he'll go and leave to meet up with the rest of the party and the army.
Sounds good. Ulrich, anything you're doing?
Ulrich is, Ulrich's really just kind of making sure that I think it's tending to his cousin, just kind of seeing how he's doing. He's reported that that prisoner unfortunately was taken by a demon, burned alive in front of him, and then the demon got away. He's ashamed to say.
Okay. I'd like a deception check, please.
Of course. That's a 22.
Okay. From what you can tell, he seems to be relieved that the spy is gone, but also kind of anxious that there's still a demon out there. He also seems to be on edge for another reason, presumably that the army is so close. But he seems to relax some that, you've disposed of one of his problems.
Yeah. Ulrich offers a little bit of comfort, just... hey, it's gonna be all right. I know this is all stressful, but for what it's worth, that's one of a whole army of demons out there. So, that's that's something that's out of our control until the army gets here, in which case we'll be able to control it a little bit.
Dara seems to shake his head and say, "You really know how to cheer a guy up."
Yep, that's what the king employed me for, cheering people up.
Anything else interaction wise you'd like to do with Dara?
No, his son's going to be in this army, right?
Yep.
So, I think Ulrich will soften a little bit because he is more human. He ate last night.
Yeah.
He had his Snickers, and he'll he'll say, hey, I mean, look at the bright side. At least you'll see his cousin's name that I've now forgotten at this moment immediately, but
Yeah, it's it's the same name. It's Dara Jr.
okay.
Yeah.
At least you'll see Junior.
Yeah, Dan Jr.
So
Yeah, they're both Daniel Dara Senior and Junior. It's not because I'm lazy at all. I promise. It's this is nobility. So they've got a history of having the same name.
Frankly, he's lucky he's just the second.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, he seems to be a little assuaged by that, but only slightly.
other than that, Ulrich's just gonna try and make himself useful.
Okay. I assume, visiting the guards, answering any questions that Dara has about demons, going back to the Adventurers Guild. Like, what do you mean by useful?
I suppose he'll keep with Dara to just, keep by his side, and as Dara needs things, just kind of be a source of information or just kind of keep an eye on Dara to make sure that Dara doesn't do anything stupid in the final lead up.
Sure. An excellent point. So Dara does take advantage of you being around, and he doesn't talk about current events when it comes to nobility. He kind of stays away from the subject. I'm sure you probably have some ideas why. But ultimately, he expresses again that he doesn't like Marius, that he thinks that he's been in power too long, but he's kind of that's not the popular thing to say, but most of the nobles think this way too, he seems to imply, which is why he's comfortable talking to you about it openly. He doesn't seem to have any machinations for betraying him, but it's just kind of that continual complaint, right? You've heard this complaint a few times already, so this isn't anything new. Of course, we've been here for a couple months, so there might be some have forgotten that, right? But yeah. Zippo, anything you are doing?
Zippo's honestly sulking. He's kind of like, he did not want to meet the army. He was kind of hoping we left to chase after the demon before the army got here. He's more worried about the dragons, because that's where we knew the demon was last.
Right.
So Zippo is just going to probably sit in his orb all day in the Adventurers Guild.
Okay.
Next to Brunhild. He's just going to be petting on Brunhild, sitting in his orb all day.
Okay. You enter the orb, and you find that you are in not space.
Oh.
Your vision is obscured at every angle. Everything is dark and quiet. You can't hear anything. But you get the sense that you are not in space anymore somehow. Like, space had its own unique empty sound, right?
Yeah.
As in, there was absence of sound. This just seems like it's quiet.
Okay. He's going to start talking to it because he still thinks that people can hear him through it.
Sure.
So he's just going to be sitting there in all his different languages. He's going to go through and just start talking like, hey, if you're here, I'm a big friend of dragons, and you're probably a space dragon or other powerful dragon. So, and that's pretty much all he's going to do. and he's just gonna keep watching, looking around to see if he can eventually like see a glimpse of something, or if maybe they talk to him back.
Okay. So far, you hear nothing in return, and nothing seems to move around in this dark space or illuminate.
Okay.
By the way, there is a faint blue glow that is lighting this area as you are in it. That glow seems to have spun up as you are looking through the orb. So you can't really, it's still dark. You don't see really much of anything, but you do see like the blue glow is all around you.
Gotcha.
Illuminating
Like
what seems to be maybe the inside of a chest. It's a wooden box of some sort. And I mentioned the light as you began trying to talk through it, because it seems like the light activated when you spoke.
Okay. Did seem like the light activated just when I first said any word, or in a certain language?
Any word.
Any word. Okay. Zippo will continually switch through languages and start speaking to the light directly.
Okay.
He's going to start asking it, like, are you a spirit or elemental of some kind, and start trying to converse with it.
Okay. Give a diplomacy check, please, and I'll be right back. It might not be diplomacy, it might be persuasion.
Gotcha.
All right, now that I've let out the demon.
It's at 21.
21, okay. Nothing seems to answer your call.
Okay. Zippo is super duper intrigued, but just because it's running in the back of my head, and I feel like Zippo would have it running in the back of his head, he will set the orb down on the table and then open his bag real fast and run down to the chest in his bag.
Okay.
And open it and just see if there's another version of his orb there, or if there's just his gold.
I see. No, there's not anything in the chest aside from what you already knew.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, then he'll go back up and just go back into the orb and continue.
Okay. Kind of being vigilant, holding vigil on the orb, right?
Yeah, he was fascinated by the orb, especially since he saw the people, but now that he can't see anything except a blue light that seemed to appear when he started talking, he is almost 100% locked in on this. Like, the party will probably have to come find him to have him meet up with the army, because he probably won't move till then.
All right.
Wait, Zippo not being there when we meet Maris the first time might be convenient.
Right?
Belzian, anything?
We have like a whole day to
Not a whole day. Some of the day.
The biggest mystery that stands out in my mind is how are we gonna figure out the fast travel situation that Rift requested us to figure out? How are we gonna get thousands of humanoids 30 days travel? Faster than 30 days.
We can see if
Belgium
the elves
was
can bring
basically
them.
posit that over the rings. Like, how are we going to figure this out, fellows?
I mean, it's a long march, but we don't have anything that can do that. Even these orbs are only really good for a couple people at a time, right? And they're keyed to a specific location.
Ooh. I believe we've already investigated the burned down barn for tips and clues.
Yes. In fact, Roger, have you relayed that information yet to the party?
No, I'm probably just getting back now. But yeah, I can relay the information that I got of what we've learned about it.
Yeah, and that's not something I put into the summary, so feel free to summarize now if you'd like, if you recall.
Um, Basically, head of the household started acting kind of weird, murdered his entire family and some other people, dismembered them, and then arranged their body parts in a particular fashion, lining up. And it's the guy who Ulrich just killed, the prisoner. So
No.
clearly, people can be possessed and be made to create these portals.
If only there was some way to bait the demons into possessing someone we don't like very much.
As you relay that information, a very excited Zippo says, "Guys, there's a blue light in my orb now."
What color was the light before?
There was no light. I just seen what I assumed was the place we live.
So you've seen the light.
And now I see a blue light, and I keep talking to it, and if it answers back, it might have some answers to how we can just, get rid of Marius and not have to fight the whole army.
Wait, what does
Go ahead.
going into your orb actually involve? Are
I just-
you reviewing a remote location?
Yeah.
Is that a place that we could? Can you actually go there?
I have no idea.
Because that would be a really neat way to transport an entire army into, I don't know, say a room or a box or a chest, perhaps, on the other side.
That would be cool.
That would be super cool. And you can get rid of Marius.
Yeah, we could send him all the way to the other side and then follow.
I like that.
And maybe he'll get eaten by a demon or a dragon.
Or even better, I somehow kick him out mid-transport, so he gets ripped to shreds in the absolute magic that is the transport.
It's a bit gnarly, but I'll allow it.
To say, I mean, we could test it on him if you wanted to, though. Might be better to confirm it works before we do that on our allies.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will. And then as Zippo's thinking that, to the orb, he says, "Switch places?" Very excitedly.
Yeah, Zippo's still kind of talking to the orb. Zippo, you feel no motions of anything occurring.
Okay. I'm like, well, it doesn't switch if I ask it to.
But this conversation does seem to pull at something at your memory. Do a history check for me, Zippo.
Okie dokie. 17.
Okay. You do recall that this orb was related to a blue light before.
Yeah, when we got it from the Behir.
Right, yeah, it was glowing blue.
That's how you found it in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know the significance of that.
I know Behir's speak Draconic. I think. I knew they were the enemies of dragons, so I assume they spoke Draconic to, talk mad shit when they were fighting them. So, Zippo's gonna mainly switch to Draconic, and he's just gonna, he has no real knowledge of Behir's other than what he learned from, fighting it and what people told him.
Right.
So he's more or less just gonna be he's in Draconic, he's gonna say every different version of, teleport, light up, illuminate, every different version of those that he can think of, he's just gonna say, just to see if anything happens.
Yeah, so the you notice that the light kind of as you kind of getting used to the light here, it kind of seems to pulse a bit as you're speaking. And the louder you are, the brighter it pulses.
Oh yeah, he will start screaming.
So when you're quiet, the light doesn't happen. You're just looking through it. It's only actively lighting when sound's coming through, suggesting that there might be sound coming through on the other side, or at the very least, your sounds are being translated in some way.
Yeah.
So, but still, nothing more seems to happen. Similar to your space journey, where you're screaming out into space. It seems in this space, no one can hear you scream.
Fair enough. Yeah, Zippo is enamored, and like randomly throughout the day, the rest of the day, the party will randomly hear Zippo go, "Nothing yet, but I'm keeping trying."
Would he ever accidentally scream into the rings? Because that would be very
Oh yeah, for sure. He is not paying
Every
attention
once in
to
a while.
volume. Yeah, like he's probably been kicked out of the Adventurers Guild, so he's kind of sitting out front, screaming.
Every now and then get that microphone feedback noise.
Mid-afternoon, probably about 2:30 or so. You hear horns sounding at the west gate. They continue to trumpet. They seem to not be alert, but more like victory sounds. Do 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 do. And the churches begin ringing their bells as well. It seems like the army has been spotted, or at least that's what one might assume.
Well, let's head out to meet them. Those of us who want to.
And I think we should go say hi. It's been a while. We've been waiting.
All right, important question. Zippo, are you joining them or are you staying at the inn?
Unless specifically asked by the party, Zippo will not go.
Party, do you make Zippo come or do you leave him be at the inn?
We'll leave the powder keg back at the inn, yeah.
We're all gathered. I don't think we're missing anybody. Let's go.
Zippo, are you okay? Are you okay with that?
Zippo is too focused on this orb. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
This orb is the only thing he's thought about since he's seen the blue light.
Yep. Okay. So the party makes their way through the city to the west gate, or are you going to come around along the road?
Roger will probably take the road.
Path less traveled.
Well, I don't know if I would say Roger has traveled it less, but everyone else perhaps.
Everyone else has, yeah.
Are we going to meet them at the gates, or should we wait for them to find parking first?
You'll take the high road, and I'll take the low road. And I'll get to Scotland before ye.
What's Scotland?
It's the part of the land with all the Scotch tape.
Ah,
sounds like a sticky situation.
sounds like it's a place Zippo was recently, and they're patching themselves back up.
Now there's a Duckland, and that's where all the duct tape is, and Maskland, where all the masking tape is.
No, it's not Maskland. That's where the Mask clan lives. Remember?
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so the party makes it through Licht. Roger, it's going to take you a bit more time to get around the outside. It's definitely the scenic route. But the kind of disparity is kind of evened up a bit as there are large throngs of people kind of crowding toward the west gate to kind of see the army coming and to see what they can see. You know, this is a big commotion. This is a big deal. Most people probably haven't seen an army this big for any reason other than war, and since this is like a welcome sight, this is kind of the the hype that people need right now in these desperate times. So that being said, there are many people crowding the West Gate. The city outside the city of temporary housing and semi-permanent homes is overrun. There's people everywhere there. So, folks, that's something you're going to have to deal with.
Except me, I'm going the other way.
So it looks like it's Yarvik, Belzian, and Ulrich going through the throng.
There certainly is a lot of people.
Actually, I could see Ulrich kind of staying back at the inn as well, mainly because, leaving the diplomatic stuff up to the diplomatic folks, right? I could see him kind of staying.
You mean Yarvik, or
did I say Ulrich? I meant Yarvik. Yes.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No, it's okay. I mean, ask Roger. I'm not diplomatic.
He rolls all the deception checks, even though I'm the one with expertise in lying.
Belzian doesn't even know what he would say to Marius.
You've invested in lying well so that you never have to.
I was going to say, maybe you should lie more, bro.
If telling people lies was important for our mission, I would be all over it. But unfortunately, the things that we need to convince them of are very, very true.
It do be like that sometimes.
Honest rogue. All right, maybe Belzian will just hang out in the crowd and watch the spectacle and get hyped up with everybody.
So Belzian, you're gonna go through the gate to get out?
No, I'll just hang out with the crowd and be like, "Yeah, let's go."
Okay.
Because I reckon we will meet Marius again later with Dara or somewhere, maybe at the inn.
Okay. Ulrich, are you pushing your way through?
Yeah, Ulrich will continue to push through. He's on a mission.
Yep. Make way, make way. Okay. So how are you pushing through? Are you gently trying to navigate using maybe dexterity, or are you going to physically move people out of the way? Athletics or acrobatics, I guess.
I don't think he's going to be shoving people. So I guess acrobatics as he tries to just get his way through. And he'll stay put.
Yeah, so you try and kind of move your way through the crowd by following the flow. And the flow kind of has you going in a circle around the gate. You're kind of... There's people coming in, there's people leaving. You kind of find yourself kind of at an impasse here. Roger, you have a nice stroll.
just whistling and walking down the road.
Yeah, who made this nice road? Very nice. Ulrich, I will say you eventually make it through, but it takes some time. Roger, you find yourself waiting for the group toward the edge of the road. You see the army kind of clouding up dust on the horizon. They're not currently here. They're arriving fairly shortly. You can make out that most of the army is on foot. There is also many horses. And since it has been dry lately, it's kicking up quite a column of dust.
I'll call out into the rings when I notice that I'm the first person here, despite taking the slow route.
Yeah.
Do you guys get held up somewhere?
It's a party in the streets.
Yeah. There's enough people just running around. I'm beginning to wonder if we really have a good handle on all this.
I mean, this is what Dara was talking about, not wanting the army to go through the city.
Yep.
I kind of thought it would be more like a parade.
Maybe.
I don't know the army stuff like you guys do. Where does everyone meet up during situations like this?
Well, I guess that's kind of a question for the dungeon master. What sort of army is this? Is this a professional army, or is it a more classic retinue of retinues feudal army?
So, from your halting communications with Jordan, you know that they're led by Marius, who was a general in the Three Wars, Three Brothers War. There's probably been at least some drilling, and there's definitely existing veterans within the army. That being said, you also know that there was a draft. So there are probably many newer members of this army as well. Some of which who likely do not know what they are marching toward at the moment.
I'll respond back. Maybe half of this is peasant levy. I wouldn't expect a lot of discipline from them, at least not from the newer folks.
Well, that's certainly exciting. It's just a bunch of people.
Bunch of heavily armed people who are probably underfed and underpaid.
Perfect.
More reasons Lord Dara does not want them in the city.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of the army or anything, but you'd think they'd set up camp outside. Go put up the no vacancy sign.
I'll see what I can do out here if you guys aren't able to meet me before they arrive in totality. At the very least, I'll stand on the road and ask to speak to the general.
All right, so Shade, you could give me another roll if you'd like to try and maneuver your way through the gate. Shouldn't be too hard once you get through the gate, surely.
Sure. Jordan still has a ring, right?
He does.
Great. While he's doing that, he's gonna talk to Jordan
Okay.
and loop everyone else in.
Yeah, go ahead.
He'll just say, "Hey, Jordan, you there?"
It's quiet so far.
All right. Well, that's worth a try. It's just an 11.
Okay. You make your way through. It's kind of slow going, but you make it through. Belgian, if you'd like to, you could. You suddenly realize that you've never gone through this gate, even when it was clear. Your normal way of going past this gate was just walking up the wall.
Yeah, why are these people all just hanging out on the ground like this?
That being said, if you wish to stay within the crowd, that's fine too.
Now come say hello. Using a combination of monk movements like Step of the Wind and wall walking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll be able to sneak over there.
Okay, so you're trying to be like not apparent about it. Like you don't want people to spot you. Like, ooh, let's climb up the wall too.
You ever play Assassin's Creed and like how the assassin can like move through groups of people just by like touching their shoulders? You know?
Yes.
Pro life tip that does not work very well in real life, but that's the kind of thing I would imagine.
Oh, good thing this isn't real life as you make your way through the crowd. All right. Ulrich, you find Roger over at the split in the road, kind of watching. Some people have kind of, as you've walked out, and Belzian, you've joined Ulrich and Roger. Some people have kind of come out to also stand close to you as a group. You could move out further if you'd like, or you could tell them to go away, or you could just ignore them, whatever you'd like.
Why don't we ask them why they're here? Is this the press? What is this? What are you guys doing here?
Oh, we just want to see. We want to see what's going on. Isn't that why you're here?
Yeah.
Might not be wise to have too many people standing outside the walls.
Yeah, is it like a couple extra people or is it like 30 to 50 extra people?
Right now it's about 15.
We'll ask. I'll ask some of them to maybe go back inside. Say we've got a message from Lord Dara to bring to the General Marius here. That's why we're standing out here. And I'm sure he will have messengers to send inside the city. But the army probably won't be marching through. They'll probably take the road to the south around.
Okay. They seem to respond to this and kind of nod, and a few of the men that seem to be interested in what's going on kind of self-importantly try and corral the group back some, trying to impress you and your companions by taking charge and making a show of it. They'll look back every once in a while to see if you're watching them.
If they seem like they're doing a good job, Roger will look suitably impressed. If they seem like they're doing a terrible job, I will look a little disappointed, but still approving.
Okay, it's somewhere between the two. Yeah.
So slightly disappointed, but kind of the nod of approval and also the nod of go away. in one motion, if you can imagine that.
I can't, but I'm listening. I got you. All right. And with that, the army gets closer and closer. There are they seem to be headed by a group of horses. The grouping of horses is led as you get closer. As they get closer, Shade, are you going to continue to try and call it to Jordan, or are you waiting now that you've seen them get a little clearer?
Yeah, I mean it's a thought, so he just occasionally thinks.
And what are you casually thinking?
Well, I mean, just like every minute or so, he'll just kind of be like, Jordan. Okay. Just blasting it specifically to Jordan, since he knows that's going to be annoying for everyone else. Although every now and then he'll loop in Roger. Instead of every minute, every second minute for Roger.
All right. At some point, you hear a musical strum just outside of your ear.
I'll say over the rings, Jordan, is that you?
Well, I was saying that specifically to Ulrich.
Oh, to Ulrich.
Yeah. So he'll look around and say, Jordan,
Ulrich.
hey.
Oh, it's good to hear you.
He loops in the others, except for Zippo, because he doesn't want to piss Zippo off.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to. Zippo wouldn't be able to hear him anyway with the distance.
Okay.
Because he's just come in.
Looping in the others. Yep, good to hear you too, Jordan. How are things?
Well, it's been a long march. Things are as good as they can be, I suppose. I think you have a lot to answer to that question as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you think it's been a long march thus far, I got some bad news for you. We're only 11 days into February.
Hey,
No, he doesn't say that. He says, yeah, certainly been a difficult time. So let's, how far away are you from the walls? Let's kind of expedite meeting with you and Marius.
Well, it seems we're at least a mile away at most because I can hear you.
Right, yeah, no, of course. That is the way that works. Are you with Marius and Tote? Are you riding with them, or?
I'm in the front column. We're at the front, mounted. I see the city on the horizon, especially the keep kind of rising up. Where are you located?
We're pretty much in that keep. But we can start to make our way and meet you on the road.
Okay.
I think
most of the nobles are in the column with me and Marius. There's a few other higher ranking military that are in the column with us, but there's a lot of new blood. New pod has been picked clean, unfortunately.
I mean, do you guys have anything to say? We are also in this ring moment.
Say, Belzian and I are out front waiting for you on the road.
We want to meet them, start making our way.
let's go say hi.
All right, so you're going to continue down the road to kind of meet them halfway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you approach the cloud of dust, and they get closer and closer until, well, the two groups meet. You, a group of 3, and them, a group of 3,000 or so. The army expands past the road on either side, on foot mainly. Not a lot of horses. There's many horses up front, and there is definitely groupings of horses, presumably groups that have joined the army or maybe specialists. But mainly it's an army on foot. The army stretches back as far as you can see. So it is a long column. At the front of it, you do see Marius is leading by the way he normally does. In the midst of everything, he is at the front with many different flagged houses. You recognize every house is in representation, aside from one, your own, Ulrich. Each carries a banner, and presumably some of their forces that they've brought are somewhere in the main front column as well. Jordan is also sitting among them on a white horse with brown patterning, and he spots the three of you and kind of breaks from formation to rush forward, riding his horse up to the group and kind of getting off as quickly as he can to kind of embrace the group. He runs up to hug Ulrich first. Do you let him hug you, Ulrich?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he kind of gives you he clambers his arms around you and gives you a big hug. Of course, you don't feel it very well in the full plate, but the sentiment's still there. Do you return the hug?
Yeah, he does like a nice pat on the back kind of thing.
Okay. He quickly moves over to Roger, kind of eyes Roger and offers a hug.
Roger will take his hand and shake it.
Yeah, I had a feeling, but it's
don't
good
want you
to
to
see
impale
you.
yourself on all of the knives.
I see you have a few more.
Stories we can tell later, I'm sure.
Yes, and then he turns to Belzian.
Belzian's already given him a
Yeah.
hug right now. Like the kind when you see your homies at the coffee shop or the pub, like, hey.
Yeah. He pulls back and asks of the other two, where's Yarvik? Where's Zippo?
Oh,
They're
they're hanging
busy.
back. Never fear, they're still here with us. Just have other things occupying them right now.
And Brunhild?
Yes, she hasn't gone anywhere. Or well, she's gone a lot of places, but she's made it back.
Good. I have worried about all of you. Well, we're here. We made it. How long has it been since you got here?
We got here a little bit ahead of schedule. So we've been here for about a week, maybe a little longer than that.
I am sorry that I wasn't able to message the Marius. I almost slipped there. Marius has been having me send messages throughout the kingdom. I haven't had the spells to spare, unfortunately. Seems
Are you the only person who can cast this spell?
It seems like it at this moment, or at least that's what he's using me for.
Well, that sounds tough.
Well, how have things been here? In more detail than the few words we exchanged last week.
Yes. We have a lot to discuss, and I'm very interested to know what you have to tell me. But yeah, Seregen has been interesting. First getting back here was a trial, and I had not too much trouble being accepted back by Marius, despite the rest of the party not being with me. But once I won him over, I kind of tasked myself to prepare Seregen for whatever may come through the other side of the wall. And I've been doing that ever since.
Well, we all made it back here. So that is certainly cause to celebrate. I fear we would not have a lot of time to celebrate.
Yes, and he turns and looks. Marius is kind of giving a few orders, but it seems like Marius has spotted you all as well, and looks expectantly for the group to approach him.
Yeah. Ulrich will make his way over.
Okay.
As
Anybody?
will Roger.
Okay, Roger too.
Yeah, I'll come with for moral support.
And Jordan follows the group, leading his horse. Marius greets the group and says, "Well met, and welcome back. I see you beat us here."
Unexpectedly, but yes. And Roger will bow slightly. It's good to see you again. And still Regent, as it would be.
Your surprise matches mine, Roger. You kind of looking at Marius for the first time in a while. It's only been a couple months, but Marius seems to have aged a couple years. Think of it similar to when Obama took office versus like later on in the career, right? Like,
Yeah.
very, very. The stress has definitely worn on Marius. He doesn't seem happy. He seems worried. Like his happiness to see you all again. It's just kind of meeting his eyes, and it's not. And you can do a perception check to see what that might be, if you'd like more. But ultimately, he looks tired.
I'll roll a perception check.
Okay. There isn't malintent with his lack of smile. It's more to do so with stress, and also you get the sense that he's probably not going to. He probably knows that he's not going to like everything that you have to tell him.
I have good news. Is that we are stronger than when we left, and we are all still around. That is probably most of the good news I have to bring you. But we do have a lot more to tell you besides that.
Well, I guess to start, what's looked like at the present? Has Lord Dara prepared for us?
We've made preparations. A new road has been built to the south of the city, so as not to stress the already strained infrastructure inside the city. There's a temporary bridge across the river made of boats. While I'm no architect, I've walked across it myself, and it seems sturdy enough.
He seems surprised by this, and he says, "Oh, this is good news. I was worrying about marching through the city. All right, well, maybe we should camp by the river's edge to the south, then, and make our way across. Maybe some throughout the night and most tomorrow. I'll have to thank Lord Dara for his infrastructure. That's very enterprising."
I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear it.
You said the city is overcrowded.
Yes.
Presumably from the cities we lost to the south.
Correct. Mostly refugees.
Mm-hmm. Well, we might be able to give them a new place to go. Maybe some of them might be interested in joining the army.
I'm sure some are fit for that, though I don't know how many, nor what the standard is right now. Roger will kind of say that quietly and glance around at the at the all of the conscripts.
Sure. Well, are you ready for for interviews? I'd love to know what you know in greater detail. Let me get my group organized, and we can make our way to a more comfortable location.
Absolutely. And perhaps on our way there, Jordan can tell us what he's already told you.
Sure. And he kind of turns his horse around and begins speaking with the other leadership roles within. Some nobles are kind of leaning into either listen to Marius and giving his instruction, or particularly eyeing the four of you, Jordan, Roger, Belsian, and especially Ulrich. You get the sense that a few of them recognize you, Ulrich.
Yep. Ulrich will make whatever. You know what? Does he recognize anyone?
As I said, you recognize many of the banners.
Right, but not anyone in particular.
No, but that's
No.
not to be surprised. You've been kind of out of the circuit, if you will, right? You've
Yep.
kind of been working for the king in a very different sense than your nobility. So,
Yep.
they know who you are. You don't really care who they are, but you're familiar with faces. You might not be able to name them.
Sure. Ulrich will make whatever appropriate gesture to acknowledge them as equals, or if there are any that he thinks would outrank them.
Okay.
You know,
Um.
the safest gesture he can make to acknowledge them.
Okay. I'll give you two choices. You can do the common noble greeting of an equal, or you can give them a soldier's salute.
Probably a soldier's salute.
Okay. None of them return the salute, but they nod. They actually, some return the noble common greeting. They raise their hand like this.
Yeah.
All right.
To Roger, he just kind of thinks in the ring. Yeah, well, nice of them to fucking finally join the front line.
In fairness, we didn't know this was the front, and thought it was closer to the edge when we first encountered it.
Yeah.
Roger, you presume that some of the members in this column are probably also Jane protectors. That you were made aware of in earlier sessions. People who are set to protect the nobles, the heirs, potential heirs.
If Roger thinks he sees one of them, he'll make absolutely no attempt to call them out.
Yep.
He knows what they're doing relies on their secrecy.
Yep. All right. So that being said, you'd think that Marius would lead at least some of the column into Licht to retire in Dara's keep. He does nothing of the sort. He heads the army south and has 3 horses brought up for the 3 of you to ride on.
Hey, I can stop walking everywhere.
I'm naming this one Little Belzy.
I don't know. That seems like sort of a dangerous name for a horse to have.
One day they'll learn.
So the entire army turns south. Some of the people in the city that are awaiting the army to arrive at the gates look a little crestfallen at the fact that they're not marching through the city. And instead, people start flowing out of the city to kind of gather along the edge of the city limits to kind of welcome the army and throw flowers and whatnot along the road for the army. Marius welcomes them and but makes no offer of speeches. Simply greets them as he would if he was a general. It seems like he is still playing the part of leader, but not interested in overstepping that in any capacity. Ulrich, this probably makes you feel a little bit less uneasy about Marius. Presumably, because I know that you had some misgivings about him a bit ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty clear that he isn't looking to, what's the word I want? Take the throne in that sense, at least not right now. His focus is correctly on the military.
Yep. All right, so he leads the group down through the fields, just as you kind of assumed, Amethyst. The army does not fit on the road, but it is at least some semblance of a direction, and they kind of overflow into the fields. They try and stay to the southern side of the road to avoid trampling on the fields, but with some direction from Marius, some of the army breaks off to speak to, or to kind of go to the farms themselves, presumably to gather what they can to feed the army. The party, the group, the army makes camp or begins to set up camp along the southern side of the road as it evens out to head directly east, and kind of fills in the area off the map, kind of making a triangle between the curve of the river, the curve of where the road goes north, and the straight line that goes east, if that makes sense. I know you can't see. Just imagine that the river continues curving down south and west at an angle, and they're kind of filling in that triangle that makes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. So tents are being erected. People are making camp. And Marius begins directing folks for a while to kind of set this up until he's satisfied that everyone has their orders, and returns to the group. In that time, we have time to kind of have some narrative with Jordan before Marius has his full attention on you, so we can kind of go through that if you'd like. Zippo, I will say that Jordan is within ring shot of you now, just as a heads up. You don't know this in character, but in case your character decides to try and see if he's around to yell insults or whatnot, there you have it.
On Zippo would still be screaming at the
Okay.
orb. So like, I would imagine like probably in the middle of his conversation with the party, because he does every once in a while scream through the orb to let him know he's not getting any success.
Mhm.
There, scream through the rings, and he doesn't specify, so I assume it would just go out to everybody that's within ring shot. So he'd accidentally hit Jordan with it.
Okay.
Yeah, like probably like midway through their conversation, the whole party would hear in their head Zippo screaming, "Guys, this orb's not listening to me, but I'm almost there. I think I got it."
Okay. All right, so we're heading south along the road you're riding. So you have questions for me?
What does Marius know? What if you told him what don't we need to catch him up on?
Well, he knows why the wall is down.
It's not exactly something I wanted to hear.
In order for me to gain his trust, I had to be Zone of Truth. I had a choice.
That's fun. So how close to the chest has he kept that?
Quite.
That's good.
I don't know exactly why. I asked him, but I don't
Why
think
he's
that's
kept that secret?
Well, why he hasn't told anyone else.
I mean, and I think that this moment Ulrich will switch into the ring. But it says, I mean, in fairness, while we are culpable, a lot of this came down to the fucking mess that the princes have been, had caused. I mean, this was something. We're happenstantial in many respects in our role here. This was his plan the entire time. I mean, I don't really think a lot of people would be too pleased to learn that not only did we have a civil war between the three princes, but then one of them, long believed dead, was actually fucking insane and killed his brother, assassinated his brother, only to then be aiming to take the wall down effectively.
Yeah, I don't know what Gerard was thinking. Presumably, he got more and more desperate after we foiled many of his plans, but...
Well, but, I mean, even with the desperation, maybe I'm wrong, but what the fuck else was the scepter for if not this, right?
Right.
So, regardless of where his head was at, this seems to have been the end game for him.
But how much did he know about the other side?
I mean, that is a great question. The motivations, the whys, the hows, absolutely. But as far as every one of those conscripted to this situation, that is not something they care about. What they care about is they're fighting a war again because of the princes again.
Yeah, that is what the narrative tends to be directed toward by Marius.
Right. And if we, I mean, sorry, perhaps I jumped the gun here. Did he, do people have an understanding of why the wall fell? If we're not culpable in that understanding, or how exactly is he pinning this on Gerard?
He has stated that through the actions of the final prince after murdering the king, he also, in the same act, brought down the wall.
Oh, I mean,
It was the
gee,
easiest
that's
way
actually,
to bring about all nations together under one
yeah.
banner.
I mean, that honestly is an accurate enough narrative,
Yes.
and also is, I mean, pretty inspired because that's gonna help further validate the importance of the monarch of the crown. So, you have someone on that throne, great. Wall might stand, or whatever happens next if we were able to get the wall up, ostensibly.
There were elements of that lie I assisted with, but I was impressed with what Marius came up with himself.
No, it's a good idea. So, right. So, but we, and maybe it's just because it feels like the last few months have been, I don't know, 3 years, and in some respects, 3 hellish years full of all sorts of weird things. And honestly, the last week or so, I mean, a portion of it has felt like a whole very strange month. Anyway, how culpable were we really? you know?
Well, I would say, you know, that's been something that's been weighed on my mind quite a bit. I mean, you know more than most of the party why I left. Guilt.
Yeah.
It was my story that brought Zippo and me to what we did.
Yeah.
Wait, were we supposed to feel guilty? I thought maybe you were just homesick.
I think you should feel guilty.
Oh no.
Well, I don't really think
Jordan kind of turns
anyone
to.
could have imagined.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I don't think anyone could have imagined that this would happen.
Yes, exactly. How were we supposed to know? Perhaps we were the arrow shot from the bow, but did we aim the bow? I don't think so.
It doesn't really matter now. I just wanted to point out that I've argued heavily against us doing anything with the scepter but bringing it back, and this was the result.
Yeah.
I perhaps have played the part of greed in my own story, characterized by that book. Once the wall came down, I instantly knew that this was something that I did that I shouldn't have done. But there's no going back now. That's why I went back to begin with, to lessen the blow if I could. As much as I would have liked to travel with each of you, I sacrificed that story for the betterment of our people. And it seems I've also sacrificed a relationship with a dear friend in the process.
So it would seem, yeah.
How is he? Is he holding on to any of his humanity.
I mean, he's a person.
Koboldanity?
We've had a lot of opportunity to expand, perhaps, our definitions of humanity recently.
But you know what I mean.
Right, but no, I'm just saying, it's not like he stopped being a person. That's
No,
he's still
that's not what I'm implying. I was
He's
helping
no
to
more.
I was helping him to socialize, to be able to
no,
survive in society.
I'm trying to say he's still, he's still has benefited from his time with you. He's still the same kid that you may recall, interested in all sorts of wild things. He definitely still hates Marius. He doesn't have a lot of good feelings towards you, but he talks to people. The end of the day, he's, even if he is an adult for a kobold, he's a kid.
Yes, I know. And I suppose I should have thought about that. I forgot.
There's
I
only
just
so much
became
wisdom.
another person that disappointed him in the end. Guys, I think I'm close to breaking the orb. What was
Random
that?
screaming. "Ah!"
Relentlessly curious.
He's a pretty consistent fellow. Perhaps maybe the most consistent out of everyone in our little group.
Jordan smiles sadly. Well, if I know Zippo, I don't know where that leaves us. I guess time will tell.
Hey, relationships can be mended. Forgiveness can be brokered. The future is endless possibilities.
If you
Time
only
doesn't
knew.
heal all wounds, but it certainly smooths them over.
A long rest certainly helps.
Hey.
I managed to. No, I'll have to tell. Maybe I'll. I have some news to tell him about a certain water elemental. I'll tell him if I can. So that's mostly me. I'm sure there's more to tell, but what about you?
Well,
Or is that
I,
best saved for the report from Marius?
Probably the report makes the most sense.
Yeah, what's there to say, really?
I'm sure we
I
can
don't know. We saw.
corroborate some of the details that you've given him and perhaps add a few more.
Let's see. Is there anything that we need to align on? No, I don't. I can't say that there's anything that I was able to really keep. I would say just be as truthful as you can. But he
At least
already
up until
seems
the
to
point you
trust
left.
you, so. Say again?
At least up until the point where you left.
Why is it always that you want to lie, Roger? It's like an obsession with you. It's compulsive.
That's, I mean, that's why they call me Roger Mays. Maybe I'm lying, maybe I'm not.
Heck, we might not even know your real name. You might not be a Roger. You could be like a
The fucking Lizard King.
liar.
I could do anything.
All right. So with that, I think it's a good time for a break. When we get back, we will debrief with Marius and talk about next steps. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We just take our nightly break, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back to the show where the points don't matter. Welcome back to D&D. We are back from the break. Hope you're all well. Let's get into it. So just to kind of reorient, the party has traveled along the road as the army has been setting up for end of March for the day. It seems that some of the army has set up an advance staging area on the other side of the river. They have tested out the bridge and reported to Marius that it is fit for crossing to Roger's what's the term? To Roger's what's a word for when somebody is happy to hear that thing? Chirp, chirp. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's helping me. To Roger's elation.
Relief?
To Roger's relief. There it is. Yeah, to Roger's relief.
I have synonyms for words that have negative emotions.
Oh, great. All right. I'll make sure to reach out to you when I'm feeling what's the word?
If
you failed me, buddy.
A thesaurus is a symptom of great consternation for you.
Okay, there we go. Consternation.
We have a terrible thesaurus. It's also terrible.
I mean, I think the dragons have most of the thesauruses, as well as the tyrannosauruses and the brontosauruses and the ha. All right. So, yeah, after everything is kind of settling a bit and Marius can turn his attention to the group, he brings all of you into a thick canvassed tent that has been set up for his area of operations. There's a table and makeshift chairs. They seem to be collapsible wooden chairs that are seated around the table. And there's a map of just Seregen. So that first map that you all had once seen, that map is what you're seeing in front of you. There's markings here and there of where barbarians had entered at one point that have been kind of similarly erased, but you can still see where those markings were, and you can see where the army kind of mustered around Jane and then moved forward here. It seems like some of the areas of the army came to meet Marius's group on their journey east, at least from the markings of the different groups. They seem to be named after different leadership roles because there's names next to each group. Have a seat.
Roger will sit.
I sit.
So we have a lot to catch up on. I can tell you what is going on here, but I believe you know most of it, likely, from the summaries that you've gotten, or presumably Jordan has been catching you up. So I need you to tell me as much as you can about what we are about to walk into.
I can give you a high-level summary, and then we can dive into the details from there. How does that sound?
He gestures for you to go on.
And Roger will point at the map and say, "You've got about a third of it." And Jordan is, I'm sure, told you some of this already, but lands to the north and lands to the northeast and lands to the southeast. To the northeast is Relic, ruled by 12 clans, and Roger will list them all: Axe, Druid, Rock, Tusk, Halfling, Cloak, Eternal, Bugbear, Merfolk, Bronze, Black, and Changeling. They meet a great council of clans in the city of Saraseta, far to the east of here. And until recently, they were perhaps more of a squabbling peoples, but now they are united. To the southeast are vampires, a government structure that you may be more familiar with here. Landed aristocracy ruled by a queen. I'm sure you've heard plenty from Jordan, so we'll pick up where he left our group. The elves we met in Relic took us to a village named Aurora in Necrata. We met with a village elder who is so old that he remembers a time before the wall.
Was he able to tell you much? And he interrupts interestedly and says, was he able to tell you much about before? It's interesting that he knows of a time before and we do not.
And Roger nods. Yes, both the peoples of Relic and Necrata remember, and in their histories, or for those who are old enough, mostly in the Undying Lands to the south. Remember the time before the wall in their history, if not all the people. It struck us as odd that Seregen seems to have lost that information. But this village elder foretold doom. He saw the wall falling as a sign of great incoming catastrophe, and has charged us with attempting to unite all the peoples of Renovar, Seregen, Relic, and Necrata together via diplomatic ties if we could. And we agreed. Perhaps feeling, and Roger will look around at who else is in this tent with us.
He's cleared the tent. It's just the party members.
Okay. Perhaps feeling a little responsible for the situation. And Roger will kind of eye the other people in the party and look back to Marius.
I also did send you on a mission of peace, so I think this is quite along those lines as well.
That was part of our decision to accept. that charge. And once we would like to report almost complete success. In fact, the only leaders that we have not spoken with since receiving it are you.
So your travels have led you to both the leadership's groupings that you have mentioned?
Yes. We are told that our best shot for diplomacy with the clans of Relic was to visit the Bronze clan leader in the very furthest reaches of the east. That clan was supposedly friendly to outsiders, and we did find it to be the case. We made our way there. And much as we are doing now, explained the story so far. What our diplomatic mission was, and that we wish to speak to the council directly. We're told that we could not do that without being part of the clan, and we're given initiation trials to complete. And all of us have sworn oaths not to intentionally harm another member of the Bronze clan. This allows us to make our case to the Council of Relic, which we do shortly thereafter.
Presumably, this is where you got your any gestures at your tattoos on your arms.
And Roger nods. On the way to the capital city of Relic, we encounter some strange happenings, demonic incursions beginning in the territory that we're passing through. We investigate because it's on the way, and learn of it hears some things thanks to Zippo's ability to understand the demon's tongue. And that's where we learn a good portion of what we know about them. That they are invading, and they seek to conquer or destroy the whole world.
Marius says, I know that you mentioned this in your messages to Jordan, which he relayed to me, which is why we have come this way. What can you tell me about these armies? Tell me more about this Orcus.
Orcus or Null, as the name sounds to us. We don't know a lot about him personally, but we have seen what his subordinates do.
What is Orcus's motivations, if any, being a monster?
Roger shrugs. Demons kill and destroy. They take pleasure in violence, and they are a threat to anyone and everyone.
How did this happen?
Well, it is a theory of mine, though I don't have much evidence to support it, that perhaps the wall was a seal, sealing demons out.
Interesting. So what types of demons have you encountered?
And Roger will describe the Canoloths that they fought
Recently? Yeah.
Yeah, they are, and what other ones have we fought? There was the flying thing that had the fear, despair, screech. There is the two-headed thing that had the confusion. When we were in Relic, there were the giant wasp demon things. um, I think that's all the ones that we've personally encountered.
There's some that could be argued to be demons or maybe not demons, depending on it, right? You
There's a
did
lot of
see,
a lot of stuff that we fought that you could call a demon, but I don't know if it's affiliated with
right?
Orcus at all. Just because Necrata do be like that sometimes.
And you also witnessed kind of two different types of invasions, right? You saw a variety of types around Orcus when he first came out, and then the swarm that was attacking Saraseta.
Oh, and the portal demon.
Ah, there you go.
And when Roger says gets to the end of the list, and a portal demon, which we think might be a key to understanding how the demons are moving around so much.
Tell me more.
On our way back from the center point, where what we used to call the corner of the wall, we passed through some ruined villages and encountered a creature manning a door that took us directly here to Licht. We slew the creature, of course, and during the fight, the building on really both sides of the door caught on fire. And when the demon was slain on this side of the door in Licht, a pile of dismembered body parts fell down. We learned later that a man had been acting strangely in the weeks leading up to our arrival, had murdered and dismembered his family and a few passers-by and used them to create some sort of foul device that allowed passage.
By 12. And this is just here. So you think that there's more of these portals?
Roger nods. How many? It's hard to say, but I would expect us to need to look for them anywhere where lots of people have gone missing all at once.
That's easy to have happen right now. The world is in turmoil.
2 whole towns are gone.
Yeah, cities. He corrects. You said that Orcus came out of a portal? Is this the same type of portal?
No, that one was more like a tearing in space, like the air ripped apart.
And these other portals, what are they like?
Doors. A door that opens on one side and you step through and you're miles away. We moved from nearly the wall's edge here to Lichten in an instant. And instead of taking the week of travel we expected, that's how we got here so fast.
I see.
If it wasn't so gruesome, and if we understood it, I'd suggest it as a means of getting us around, but perhaps that's not wise or repeatable.
No, but it is an idea. Not to that degree, but perhaps we can talk to one of our contracted spellcasters and see if he has any ideas for transportation. How far away is this place that we're going? Is it the rift? The tear that you mentioned?
That is what we've been told. Yeah, the Bronze Clan leader, an old, very old dragon named Rift, is leading the armies of Relic, or at least some of them. They've formed a defensive line around that tear, but it is far to the east. Over certainly at least a week or two's journey, and maybe longer, on foot.
And as a reminder, each square on foot is a day.
I am not looking at the same map you are.
No, yeah, I'm moving it. Don't worry.
Let me zoom out.
Yeah.
As the crow flies.
About 30 days.
Yeah. We'll say as the crow flies, about a month, perhaps longer, given the terrain.
Okay.
I don't know if we would be able to get there fast enough to save the army, but perhaps fast enough to make a difference.
So you mentioned that you tried to report in before and weren't able to.
As far as we can tell, the old borders of the wall still block any communication across it, any magical communication across it. Sending spells just don't work, even if you can see the person on the other side.
How about other spells?
We have some of Gerard's old sending rings that we confiscated while we were tracking down that insurrection, and those don't work across the wall either.
Okay, so presumably the walls physically are not there, but magically they are. Interesting. I don't know what that means.
And Roger shrugs and says, "That's well beyond my area of expertise. And I was a soldier before all of this. You can't stab the ground and expect it to die."
No, you cannot. So tell me about the other rulers. Are they amenable? It seems like you're able to broker cooperation.
The 12, or, well, 11 now, rulers of Relic are a lively bunch, but circumstances are forcing them to cooperate, I think. The ones, even the most stubborn, are thrilled to fight, though perhaps they won't be by the time we arrive. You know the type.
Hmm.
Uh,
Ulrich, what did you make of them?
I would say that Relic is full of people of conviction, of passion.
Belzian.
I'd say Relic is a hard place, but also a rock. The people there are very dedicated. And they also seem much more capable of getting their entire lands into a unified front than other places.
What does he mean by this, Roger?
uh, well, unlike us, they didn't just spend several years fighting a civil war, only to be threatened with another one.
Fair. In hindsight, it doesn't look great, but we had our convictions at the time, I suppose.
Right. And we can only go forward from here.
We can rely on the rulers of Relic. I think, if for no other reason than their lands are in danger, but I think they are. Once we got them diplomatically willing to ally with us, I think they are locked in. They should be steadfast allies.
It seems like we have an opportunity here, coming to their aid.
And you're not the only one who has seen that opportunity. Let me tell you about our neighbors to the south. Queen Cordelia rules over the lands of Necrata. She is an impossibly old vampire.
What do you mean by impossibly?
She
Go ahead, sorry.
He turns to Ulrich as Ulrich begins to speak.
She is ancient, older than, I would say, most or all of the elves that grace our lands.
older than most or all of the elves that grace Necrata's lands, who have a much longer history.
How is this possible? You mentioned
She is
the
a vampire.
undying. Well, but that's you and I both know that's not a thing.
Well, neither was going past the ball, with all respect, sir.
It's probably what impossibly old means.
Vampires are real.
Yes.
Dragons are real.
Oh, yeah.
Demons are real.
Unfortunately.
What isn't real at this point?
Well,
Dwarves are real. Or, well, were
well,
real.
yeah, we're, well, actually, I don't
What's
even
a
know if that's
dwarf?
yeah, I was going to say, that's a thing that we didn't really even, dwarves are
What?
the progenitors of vampirism.
Okay.
A fun bit of history.
Yeah.
Another time, I'm sure. So like fairy tale story vampires?
In some ways, and not in others. They don't burn to death in the sun, but they do require invitation to cross thresholds into dwellings. They must sleep in coffins. They're harmed by silver. Those sorts of things. And they are bound by the contracts they make.
Are they a danger to us?
We've brokered a peace with them.
As long as we uphold our end of the deal, they will uphold theirs.
And what deal is that?
I'm so glad you asked. Roger will pull out one of probably several copies he has made at this point.
Okay. And you explain the contract, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to read it through.
Yeah. Basically, it is the sort of diplomatic contract you would expect, with a few clauses in there specifically for the magical nature of things, because most of these contracts end when one of the signatories dies. We needed a clause that stated otherwise, in case one of us died.
Okay. What do they want from us in return for their is there anything promised that I need to get working on aside from what you've already told me?
All nations party to this agreement will provide military and or economic support to each other in the war against Orcus. That's why we're here. And Queen Cordelia has already been informed that Relic requests aid and is making movements to assist. But I fear that all three nations may be needed.
So, I guess another question is, how trustworthy are these vampires? You said they're bound to a contract, but is there a possibility that some rogue vampires might be present in Seregen as well? Is that something to keep me up at night in addition to everything else?
As of now, none that Queen Cordelia knew of when we last spoke with her. But like here, not it is a feudal society, and the nobles are not always all aligned. Some of her feudal lords are in open rebellion and have sided with Orcus. She's quelling those rebellions.
How can one tell a vampire from another person? Are there signs? Do they look different?
There's the bit where they drink blood. On the pale side,
They often wear capes. Go bleh.
You could always. They are bound by their word. You could always ask somebody to make a promise and then break it. A vampire would die attempting to break a promise made in earnest.
Yeah. So, for example, I have to imagine this is where the idea of swearing on your life and even the most trivial of things may stem from, perhaps in the days before the wall.
Interesting.
Our clause with Queen Cordelia, as part of this, includes something to the effect that she can escape this contract without death. That was one of her conditions for us to be able to do this diplomacy with her.
So you keep saying death, but they're vampires. They're dead already.
Well,
Isn't that somewhat of a loophole?
they are.
Destruction might be the better word, but had much cause to expand my understanding of what counts as a person lately.
Sorry, that's laughing out of character. This is fun. So I'm curious to hear what both of you think of this queen, Ulrich Belsian.
Well, at first, I think like many people of Seregenese descent, vampires were scary, uncouth, barbaric, uncivilized monsters. After meeting a bunch of them, and their queen, I still feel mostly the same, but I like them a lot more. They are, when it comes down to it, people like you or me. Or even Zippo.
Yes, I would agree. Of the two neighboring kingdoms, I have my own personal concerns with Necrata more. It is, were there not a mutual respect and contract at this time, the continent that I would fear, or the country rather, that I would fear, the kingdom. Choose your terminology there. But that's not to say that dragons are not frightening. But I think that there is a larger threat.
They are very dangerous, and we are very lucky to have them as allies.
You're saying that about both other realms, right?
Yes,
Yes.
indeed, but but I fear more the kingdom of Necrata.
I can weigh in on that. Yes. The people of Relic will possibly get a rock to drop a rock on you and squish you, or get a dragon to eat you. But you go to Necrata, they're going to make your head fall off, which is also terrible.
Indeed. Now, that is, with all due respect, of course, a fear were they not our ally. Because they are our ally, they are, fierce and strong, so that is very much to our benefit. And I think it would be in our interest to, once the Orcus threat is, the Null threat is dealt with, I think it would be in our interest to try and maintain the peace for as long as possible.
Oh, speaking of, Queen Cordelia has a gift for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, really for the kingdom of Seregen, but you as its ruler for the moment. And I think Roger's the one carrying this.
I also think you're the one carrying it.
And Roger will pull out that volcanic gemstone that's been magically etched with Queen Cordelia's personal symbol, and hand it to Marius. We presented her with King Gareth's sword as a gift from Seregen, and she has presented this to us, a token of our alliance.
Gareth sword. You got that from him when you killed him, I assume? Or no, Gareth. Sorry, I was thinking Gerard for a second.
Yes, when we killed Gerard. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Gareth's sword.
You handed me Gareth's sword.
Okay, got it. Yeah, resetting. Okay, the sword that I provided you when I charged you to kill the prince.
Gerard, yes.
It completed its first mission, and when you told us to go with peace, I saw this as the way for it to complete its second mission.
Okay, so to summarize, 2 deadly lands more dangerous than the last, formidable against our kingdom. A third danger, the demons. Fortunately, we've been able to broker a deal with the other 2 in order to fight them. You've killed Gerard. At this point, I'd believe Benjamin to be alive somewhere out there. This is a lot to take in.
Question.
That is a bit of humor, yes, sir.
I don't know at this point, Ulrich. Like, you're telling me all these fantastic things that I once thought were myth and legend. At this point, anything's possible. So the demons that you mentioned explain a lot of the creatures that have been appearing in Seregen. They've been keeping me busy. I originally thought they might be incursions from creatures from beyond the wall, and I suppose in a sense I was correct, but these were more sneaky, appeared with no semblance of order, and left without a trace. This portal system that you had as a thought, there's got to be more of them than just the one in Licht. I'd like to know more about that at some point, but I think the most pressing matter at hand is not what is in Seregen, but what lays ahead in the army, and what chance we have to defeat this Orcus and his armies, his horde. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that it seems his forces are scattered throughout the kingdom and the others. Perhaps that means that this place we're going to might be less defended. What exactly is our mission?
Oh, sir, I'm a soldier. I kill stuff.
Yes, but when we get there, why are we going? And what is the purpose of us marching across the continent? What is this group defending? Just their homes? Is Orcus there? What is the plan?
There have been reports of Orcus being in lots of places. I don't know how true those reports are. All of the information we have is confusing.
So we might be marching a month for no reason.
I suppose there is a small chance that when we get there, everything is gone already. But I try not to think negatively.
What reports have you had of Orcus? Where has he been located?
Queen Cordelia's scouts say that he is present in Necrata. Rift says that he is present in Relic. And one of Lord Dara's prisoners claimed to be him. The man who is responsible for that portal.
Lovely. Did it seem like he was Orcus? You've seen Orcus.
He didn't look like him physically, but
Yeah, he kind of just looked like a guy, but he was a bit of an oddball.
Ulrich, you spent more time interrogating him than us.
I believe he was possessed by Null rather than being a physical manifestation of Null. But that, of course, brings to light the issue that Null is able to occupy other bodies and carry out a measure of control through them. Null effectively is anywhere at any time. And as to what we are doing ultimately as we march, it is with the hope of maintaining these good relationships and perhaps thwarting some of the destruction. I think that Noel has a special interest in our merry little party here. And I do think that we can challenge Noel to meet us.
And we'd like to do that not here, but with the backup of an army.
Yes.
So the hope is to draw him to you with an army behind you.
Yes,
3 armies if we can manage it.
Exactly.
So is there a way to close this tear?
That is a good question. If we are able to thwart and defeat one physical manifestation of Null, would that automatically close the tear? Or would he just make another?
Well, and this is getting into what's the word that I want? Metaphysics in a way. But Noel seems to come from another place, right? And that seems to be a direct result of the wall falling. Our endeavors here have been to broker peace with the neighboring nations, but also we swore a bond to effectively try and bring these nations together in a way that mirrors the creation of the wall. I don't know why. I mean, I understand why the wall was put up in the first place now, how it came to be, more or less. But I think that somehow either the division of these three nations physically, or the creation of peace between these three nations. One of the two seems to have an effect upon Noel's presence, if that makes sense.
As in order begets chaos.
I suppose.
Yeah, that's a little too metaphysical for me. I see what you mean.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is we are going to have an uphill battle at best if we do not have the support of these other two nations.
And they won't survive without our help either.
Exactly. It is a common enemy. We have to do what we can.
True, perhaps if you go by the written letter, we are to make allies and support them. But there's also the side context of defending everything we know and love from annihilation, whether it be now or later.
Do you have?
I guess that's kind of important.
Do you have a map of where we're going?
Ulrich does.
Yep.
Pull out the globe.
And the globe, that's right. He was going to be patient and weigh in on, or wait for before he showed it, but here it is.
Okay, so which map are you showing him?
I'll show the globe.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were bringing out the there's a few things you have.
Yeah, I have the map from the giant, or the giant clan,
Yeah.
but I think the globe is the most useful thing.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Okay, so you bring out the globe, and he kind of marvels at it. I don't think you've shown this to him before, have you?
Nope.
Yeah. So he kind of looks at it. He sees kind of the general. Again, you can see mountains, rivers, and coastlines, but the forests and the forests, but none of the labelings are on there or anything like that. So it's just for our purposes. There's no mark where the tear is. There's no mark where, Sarasetta or Jane even is, for that matter. But he does notice the glowing orbs on the map, and points to the largest one, and says, "That's us."
Yep.
So what do these dots represent? And he points to several more that are in Seregen. One close to where Jewel was, one in Jane, and one in Istabel.
This device we looted from Gerard's insurgents along with these rings of communication. It highlights where they are, and when many are gathered together, they glow more brightly. We didn't account for every ring in the set. But we did have a few spares, and we gave one to Rift, and Roger will point to the single dot all the way out in Relic. The one in Jewel is probably on a corpse underwater. And did we give Marius a ring?
I feel like you did.
And
Yeah, actually, we did. Yeah, we did.
because there were 2 unaccounted for, right? Or so I
Yeah.
thought. So I'm not sure why there would be 4.
There were
dots.
3. There were 3 unaccounted for.
Okay.
That were not. You had 9 out of 12.
Of 12. Yeah.
5 went to the party.
1 to
1 to Jordan, 1 to Marius,
and 1 to Rift.
and 1 to Rift.
Um,
And 1 ring to bind them.
presumably the other 3 in Seregen are members of Gerard's old order. It was my intent to go track them down until other events sent us out of Seregen entirely.
So you're saying that presumably one of Gerard's insurgents is in Jane right now.
It may well be the case.
And the other in Estabel, and potentially 1 in or around Jewel.
Yes. Those dots haven't moved, at least not since we've been back in Seregen. We've been able to track your progress by along the road from Jane to Licht on this globe.
Okay. Well, it seems we have some planning to do and some logistics to figure out. I do not know of a better way than by traveling the good old-fashioned way, boots to the ground, to get to the tear, but I'm going to assume anything's possible. That being said,
I just realized if Marius had a ring on, he would have heard whenever I hollered out earlier that I almost figured out the orb.
it's true.
Not to interrupt, but I did want to bring that up.
So
Depends if you started as separate
I will
groups.
say this: there's probably another instance of you chiming in with the orb. I'll take this opportunity for Marius to ask. So I take it the other members of the party are still with us. I just heard what can't be anyone else but Zippo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still have them around. They're they were otherwise occupied and didn't come out here to meet you. Zippo's instructed us that he's not to be disturbed while he's investigating an artifact that we recovered.
But he can disturb us all the same, I see.
Yep. He is 6, sir.
What some find it disturbing, some can find charming.
Well, I mean, he presumably has been invaluable to your efforts. Jordan seems to think so.
Like our erstwhile allies, he is powerful and very very smart, knowledgeable about the magic and other such things.
Well, I'm glad that he was able to provide that service. And Yarvik?
Yarvik's great. I don't think he's big on the talking intense.
I got that sense. Kind of an outdoorsy type.
Yeah, both Yarvik and Zippo saved our bacon several times.
And both can corroborate the story? Would they have anything to add that you might have left out?
I'm sure Zippo would give you a full accounting of all of the animals that he met along the way and all of the dragons that he talked to at length personally. Though he still has a bit of an irrational grudge for some reason.
An irrational grudge of what?
He's decided he doesn't like you and won't explain why.
I see.
Perhaps something you said while we were in Jane all those weeks ago, or maybe just an idea that he's gotten into his head. He's decided the same about Jordan, for what it's worth.
That does surprise me. All right. Well, is that going to be a problem?
No.
I sure hope not.
He looks between both Ulrich and Roger, clearly not convinced. Okay.
I mean, how much do you think you're going to interact with them, Marius?
Well, I presume if we're going to be marching for a month together, that quite a lot.
I mean,
I am general of this army that he will be a part of.
I would say, if I could be so bold, consider him less a part of the army and more a civilian tag along, and consider that he probably will just avoid you. He didn't come to confront you here. He's not going to confront you anywhere else. And he's one of thousands that will be marching with us. He's going to be... He's just going to be a body until he is needed. And his innate abilities and skill with death, well, I think that they will serve on their own without much command, if I can be so bold.
We'll figure it out as it unravels, I suppose. You've given me much to think about, and I have much left to do. Presumably, we march tomorrow. I don't think we have time to use. We can think on the go if it's going to be a long journey. Would you say that's a correct line of thought?
That makes sense to me. I don't think that we need to dally.
Agreed.
All right.
Any blessings on our weapons and armor that we can get from the temples? I think we've already acquired. So.
That's a good point. So we'll have to strategize for demonic weakness, and potentially we might need to conscript some of the church to aid in the members we already have, to assist in blessing weapons and whatnot. I also would like to go into the city and talk to Lord Dara. I'd like to see if there's any members of the city that would be interested in joining the army. I'm sure there are many able bodies willing to serve the realm. And I think I should pay a visit to the Adventurers Guild to see if there are any that would be willing to serve as well.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, adventurers would be very helpful.
We are staying there, and we can. I'm sure you can talk to the leadership there by yourself without our help. But if you need us, we will be there.
Understood. What is the leadership's name there?
Oh, Christ, I had this written down.
That's a long name.
It's like Fox Group or something like that.
Wolfgang?
Ah, Wolfgang,
Yeah.
yes.
Fox Group.
I tried to keep it together. I did.
Feels good.
For Fox's sake.
Oh no.
All right. Well, I'll have to talk to Wolfgang at some point this evening. See what I can get from these groups. Anything I should know about Licht before I move on?
Aside from the refugees, the civil unrest, the demons that that we fought outside the walls a few days ago. I mean, you know Lord Dara probably better than we do.
I will say that my cousin is a little wary of the situation. And though it is clear to me that you are serving as in your capacity as leader of the military, that he is a noble, and as such, nobles do tend to distrust.
A threat.
They did
to their power.
Yes, they tend to project. They see someone who has the chance at a power grab, and they assume that person will take that chance.
On that note, Ulrich, while you are among good company, I would tread lightly. You are not gaining any friends by having a private audience with me, apart from the nobles.
Yeah, I wanted to, I suppose, bring that up. Has there been a lot of ill will towards me? I saluted.
Well, I would say it's not about ill will in past tense, but especially with you being, well, out of the picture in many ways.
Yeah,
you're
and I would
suddenly back, and that could be seen as a threat.
I would also like to politely contest the idea that I have been out of the picture.
Well, forgive the turn of phrase, but there was not really much evidence for the last 2 months whether you were alive or dead. You
Yes,
and the party were on the other side of the wall, and people make assumptions. I certainly did not. I heard from Jordan, so on and so forth. But you see where they viewed you as not a threat, out of the picture, and then suddenly you are back, and you are immediately taken into my chambers and know more than they do. And
yes,
that's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that. I suppose what I'm driving towards here is it was impressed upon me that I have been considered out of service, that I have not served in this war. And I wonder...
that is nobility perpetuating that, and it's nothing to do with me.
I appreciate. I of course know we are simpatico, Marius. I have nothing but respect for you and trust in you. I simply wanted to make sure that it was officially recorded in some capacity that I have been serving our kingdom dutifully.
So do not worry. I am aware. It is interesting to know that this is as important to you as you're showing it. Are you interested in becoming king?
Oh, I'm not saying that, Marius. I'm merely saying that I have diligently served our kingdom for many years in ways that many of the other nobles have not. I was a little bit, if I must confess, put off by the somewhat chilly reception that you know what I'm saying. I thought perhaps there would be a little more decorum.
Well, you make it back to Jane, you'll see just the impression you've left.
That sounds ominous.
Well, I do not mean to make it ominous. It's from my viewpoint, it's funny. You and your group saved the realm. In a way, you uncovered the plot against the king. Too late, but still, we would have been ruled by an imposter had it not been for you and your group. You're heroes. Yeah. And you've been commemorated as such in Jane. Each of you has a statue in gold.
Oh. That is not...
Roger's jaw drops.
What?
Who commissioned those?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
Jordan's kind of rocking on the balls of his feet, grinning from ear to ear.
Okay.
I mean, the only person I could think who would do that, something like that, would be Zippo, but only for Brunhild.
Right.
Yeah, Brunhild is also. Why do you think I asked about your party members? Brunhild is also commemorated alongside Zippo in his statue. He's riding astride her.
I see.
Is there a Jordan statue?
No, he refused to have one.
Yes, we were never asked.
Well, that's going to make some things more complicated for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did they get the mustache
apologizes.
right?
It's a lovely idea. Just a little surprising.
So, they likely did not do you any favors, hindsight-wise, but you earned them, each of you.
Right.
And it seems like you have earned them 4 times over at this point. There's been a lot of changes to Jane. But we can get to that another time.
Right.
Let me take care of things. But there is one person I think might be worth speaking to, and maybe they might have more insight as to options in terms of the magical sense. In the army, you'll probably be able to easily find this, but there is a patchwork wagon. He kind of rolls his eyes at it. You'll see a big K emblazoned on it. I've procured the services of Carl. He's with the army. I assume you know
It's
who
Carl.
he is.
Who doesn't know who Carl is?
Yes,
Indeed.
he says tiredly. Yes, he's here. He might be an invaluable resource on thinking outside of the box. So maybe you can come up with something. Anything else? He looks around at each of you.
Well, I guess the big question from our perspective are you pledging to these are you pledging Seregen? Roger corrects himself. To these diplomatic overtures that we've made.
I suppose I can commit in the capacity of what I serve at the moment, but I am only regent. Is that satisfactory enough? Or does Seregen's true leadership require the oath?
And do we feel like our oaths have been fulfilled?
You're still feeling a pull at the moment. Whatever that means. Would you like to do a roll on that? To figure out?
I mean, we can.
I don't know how much it'll help, but
If there's something that you think I've forgotten that I might be reminded of, sure, I can roll.
I'll more suggest that there hasn't really been any formal pledge or anything like that, right? Marius is just kind of going with the flow, right? He's committed in terms of action, but also you don't know if he can commit or not based on the terms of the pact, right? So
Right.
I'm kind of alluding to both things, right? It could be one of two.
Roger will say this then. The Council of Relic was 11 members and not 12 when they made their pledge. If, from my perspective, you go to war with the leaders you have, not the ones that you want. And it follows that we go to peace with the wars that we have, with the leaders we have. Not the leaders that a bunch of nobles might want.
Good saying in the end there.
If you commit to this and you commit the realm to this, it will be true so long as you are our steward, right?
I suppose you're right. So, what do you need from me?
Um, I, I think we just need to. I think we need to enact and continue forth. Really, that is a promise is one thing. A promise kept is another.
So, you're looking for a promise.
Oh yes, I suppose in many respects we are looking for a guarantee in your capacity as steward that Seregen will continue to fight the good fight against Null and ally itself with Necrata and Relic. And then we just need to enact that. That's all.
All right. Well, when my tasks are done in Licht this evening, I will return and we shall make it as official as you need it to be.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm sure there's more, but for now, well met and welcome back. All right.
And Roger will bow, but this time more deeply.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So that being said, I do want to go over to Zippo. Zippo's been waiting patiently this whole session while we've been talking to Marius. So Zippo, I know we messaged on the side a little bit. So your plan is to channel more magic into the orb while also screaming in Draconic. I assume you're probably in your room at the guild, correct?
Yeah, I figured he'd be either in his room or outside.
Okay. Let's put it this way. You start off in your room and then you're asked to leave.
That's fair, yeah.
So let's see. What types of magic are you channeling into the orb?
So Zippo thinks blue, he thinks like, lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since the Behir, if I remember correctly, did do lightning damage.
I believe,
At least to my knowledge.
You're correct
Yes.
there.
So Zippo would be shocking grasp the orb while speaking Draconic to try to channel that power into it.
Okay, and I guess it's important to ask, what in Draconic are you saying? Like,
in Draconic, Zippo, I imagine, has been trying a lot of different things, but to the point where he put the magic in, he would pretty much just be talking to the orb, and he'd be like, "Look, I don't know what your power is. I don't know what you can do, but if you have any way to help me help my dragon friends and fight this horrendous demon and punch one in the face specifically, I would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate your help, mystical light that comes through this really cool orb."
okay. You can kind of see the pattern of light flashing in conjunction with the words you're saying. So you've streamed on Twitch before, Atomic, correct?
Yeah.
So you know that the audio mixer lights up when you speak, but it's not making any sound as far as you can perceive. It's just reacting to the sound. It's very similar to that in this case. Think of it like you're looking through a camera into a room where that's the thing that the camera that you're looking through is the one that's lighting up, right? This orb is viewing whatever this chamber or container is. You're getting the sense that it's lighting up, but you have no way of telling whether there's sound or not, because you yourself have never heard anything through the orb. Now, that being said, this sounds different than before, right? I did describe that.
Yeah.
So that kind of, in some ways, might confirm or might just be different types of feedback based on like location, right? But ultimately, you don't seem to hear yourself. So you're in a small chamber. You presumably would be able to hear yourself in that if you could. So whatever the case might be, even with channeling your shocking grasp into the orb, you don't get the sense that the spell is going through into where you're looking.
Yeah.
And like nobody like appears or nothing changes about the environment on the other side. So that's what I have so far for you based on those actions.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Getting the sense that nothing is really what he assumes none of the spells are going through. Let's see here. So, I know if I go to my room, it cuts off, right? Like when I go into my little pocket
Correct.
place. Okay. Zippo is going to try to take the excuse me. He's going to try to take the orb and getting the sense that whatever he's seeing is at the very least, if it's not hearing, it's at least semi reacting to what he's saying, like even if it is just the light blinking on and off. He's going to assume that someone's got the orb, and so they have to be who's around. So he's going to start just like asking out in his different languages again, to see if he can try to reach out to anybody that can speak to him from the orb. More or less, like with like the Twitch analogy, he's more or less pretty much just trying to see if he has any viewers. Pretty much.
Got it. Give me a perception check.
Do I just do a straight roll on this one, or do I need disadvantage?
Disadvantage, you're outside. It's daytime. But you're looking through the orb. I'll take the 18 and keep it there. That's so basically the roll would have been the roll anyway. It works out. So, you do notice that there are some other items in this box. It looks like your orb. You can just make out the reflection of what you're looking through in another item. So the item looks like it's a tiara made out of silver and diamonds, or at least a silverish metal. And in the crystals, you can make out the reflection of the same looking orb that you hold.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if Zippo's ever tried, and he might have, but he'd probably still try it anyway. Um, Given the thought that it just would pop into his head to try, uh, can he try to? I know the orb's physical, but can he try to like reach through the orb? Kind of like if he was trying to reach through like a bag or something. I know it's probably going to be a no, based on what I know of the orb, but I feel like Zippo would still try it anyway.
So let's just kind of run through real quick what you know of the orb so far, because there have been some interactions that you've been doing with it for some time. You had Reynard back in Aurora identify it for you as well. So what do you know or remember about what you've encountered with the orb so far?
I know that wherever it was located at, I seen the people that came through it. If I go if I go into a pocket dimension, pretty much, it cancels itself out. And my assumption from that is that it itself is using some kind of spatial magic, which is why it kind of blocks whenever it happens. The I don't remember much of when Reynard identified it.
Do you want to do a history check to see if you can remember?
Yeah. I'm going to use my inspiration on that.
Okay.
See if I can get a better roll. Not much better, but still better.
So you remember that Reynard said it had something to do with scrying. And he believed that what you were looking into was the sidereal plane, or also known as the Sea of Stars, or the recursive pocket. He even suggested that the rocks that you were seeing in space might very well be other pocket dimensions, like your bag.
Okay.
So, the I guess the other side of things is, what does your character know about scrying?
He's kind of focused on offensive magic. I would imagine he knows the basics. Like normally, when you scry, you have to think about the person and/or thing you want to scry on, and that if it is a person and they aren't willingly letting you do it, then they have to try to block it mentally.
Yeah. So generally, with a spell, there's some elements to it, but with an item, it seems like that's less the case.
Yeah.
Since you were freely able to kind of watch a whole nother realm. So yeah, it seems like, based on everything, that your stone of your spear of scrying has a pair, and while one fell to Renovar, this other has been in some way recovered.
Okay.
But the question is, by who?
Yeah.
So that is where I'm going to leave off that element of things. But feel free to, if you want to ask me any questions regarding that, you can either save them for next time, or feel free to chat me, Zippo, because there could be some things to talk about there, or some ideas that you might have to try. I know you had most of the session to kind of think on it, so feel free to kind of reach out to me and we can talk about that, because there's probably plenty that you could have done in the time that we took with Marius today. So thank you for your patience there.
I willingly set out because Zippo wouldn't have wanted to meet him.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely in character. It just probably wasn't as much fun for you today. So I apologize for that. I promise next time will be, you'll probably have more opportunities to interact, since it seems like next up is Carl, right? So
yeah.
So that being said, does anybody have any final thoughts or wants to relate any of this stuff based off of what we've encountered today with the talk with Marius? Does anybody have anything to talk about within the rings before we end today?
Let's hope that Roger to Ulrich. Let's hope that they don't take my advice too seriously about challenging vampires with breaking promises.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did love that you gave, and this is, I don't know if this is over the ring or not, but...
Oh, yes, this is over the ring.
Okay, then, yeah,
it always can be.
I do love that you gave exactly a way for me to immediately be outed as a vampire, but frankly, I was thinking about doing it myself, so...
I will be telling the Flames. Right.
I assume you already did. Yeah.
It'll be in my report. I did not want them to order me to kill you. We need you.
I think you'll figure it out. But on the bright side, I really don't want to kill you.
Yay. It always warms my heart, these conversations.
Jordan pipes up in the rings and says, so who's going to talk first? You going to talk first? I'm going to talk first? Not knowing that there's a conversation going on, and just being
what do you want to talk about, buddy?
It sounds like it's you, Jordan.
Yep, I think you started it.
So, anything I should know based off of what you just told Marius? And we're going to end session there.
So that depends, Jordan. Can you lie?
Doesn't seem like it.
Probably read a song about it.
Fuck.
All right, so we'll end it there, folks. Thanks for joining us out there in Twitch land. We will be back in 2 weeks' time for our next session, which will be the 25th. Does that work for everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, not next week, but the week after?
Correct, yes.
The 25th should work for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be good.
And I'm going to try and keep this 2-week cadence, if at all damn possible, so that we can have as many sessions as possible before we conclude. I'm trying to have us end on our 4-year anniversary, if possible. Of course, we can't always have nice things. I will work with what I can, but we are kind of getting into that final stretch of planning before the battle and whatnot, right? So I want to make sure we use that time and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and keep us to that standard. If we need to do makeups or whatnot, that's what we'll do. But we'll see what happens. For all I know, work might, say, hey, you're going to go to Chicago on the first week of May. And then, all my plans will be dashed. But we'll see. So, but again, thanks everyone for joining me. I believe Yarvik should be back on the 25th. He's already confirmed that he's good for the 25th. So, looking forward to next time. We will see you then. And in the meantime, be safe, be well, be excellent. Have a great one.